we're back again for another video. What are we doing today? Well, today I've decided I'm going to upgrade my file server. Now, I've been using a Raspberry Pi 3 for the last 3.5, nearly 4 years, and I've decided to upgrade to a Raspberry Pi 4, which I have here. And there's a couple of key changes about this that are going to make some differences in how I do stuff. For a start, it has a couple of USB 3 ports. Very handy because I have a 4 and a 5 terabyte drive plugged into the other one that is USB 3, just with an adapter lead. It also has gigabit Ethernet, which is good because I use it for file backups. And I've upgraded all my network switches in between to be gigabit compatible. And the barometric pressure is making me tired and snuffly today, but you'll have to deal with that. I have a micro HDMI to HDMI adapter. I would have loved to have got a pigtail for this so I don't snap things off the board, but it's all I could find. I've also got a nice short little quality USB-C power cable that will help. And off camera here, I've also got a 3 amp USB supply that'll bring it down from 12 volts, as is the power supply in the box I have is 12 volts. So let's bundle all this stuff up, and we'll jump in a minute over to the current setup and we'll see what's in there. In the meantime, I've got to do a couple of other things first, including installing the OS, which I'm not sure if I've already done. But we'll do that and we'll be right back. So I need to address the power supply issue first. Now, I do actually have a USB power supply just like this, a 3 amp one, that has USB sockets already fitted to it. However, I can't find it. I think I've used most of them. I do have some of these that don't have them fitted, but I've manually attached a micro B on here. Now, the next question I've got is, do I adapt this? Do I put a USB socket on here, or do I chop the cables and join them? That's going to be the challenge. I think I might find something that I've got a USB socket on that might be a little kinder to the cables and makes future proofing a little easier, but I have to see if I can find one. Alright, so I'm having a close look at the back of the Pi here. I've decided I might go for a third option. I might actually just cut these and solder directly to the 2 pins on the board, which are these 2 here. Now, I'm told that the Pi 4s don't have a polyfuse and that the 5 volt from here is directly connected to the 5 volt rail, or the 5 volt pin on the GPIO port. So, for that matter, directly connecting to either of the 2 really doesn't make a lot of difference. But I need to find out what the polarity is first. Now, I've marked the 2 positive pins here, and that sounds right. And down here, I believe, I'm looking at a GPIO on the screen here. Most of these pins on the bottom half of the board there's a ground. I think one of these last 2 is ground. Okay, it's GPIO 21. Most of them are all giving me continuity. What about this one? Okay, that's not great. I'm getting continuity in all of them. Alright, I need to look up some specs and find out why this is happening. We will be back. I've had a little bit of an epiphany here. I'm going to try this the other way around. Pretty sure these are both ground. And I had the polarity wrong. Yeah. So, 39 here, pin 39 should be ground. I'm not getting anything. I am getting something on the I/O port. Try here, they're both connected. This 3rd pin here I think is the polarity, or is the positive one. So yeah, now let's try you here. This is not helping. Alright, I'm going to have to actually look up some diagrams. I think I'm going to go directly off the 5 volt pins because I know exactly where that should be. So we'll change the angle slightly, and I have tinned a couple of pins here. These are the 5 volts, and this 3rd one here is the ground. We're going to connect way down the other end here to ground because I think that's going to be a little too close to home. and I risk a short circuit. So let's just suck up a little bit of extra solder off this pin just to get it back out of the way. Now we're going to take our hot wire, which I have also tinned and prepared, and I'm going to bridge straight across these two to give it a little bit more anchorage, and because they're both 5-volt pins anyway. And I can hear people cringing right now that I'm soldering direct to a Raspberry Pi board, but it's my board. And what's that old song? It's my party and I'll cry if I want to. I don't know. Anyway, it's my board. I can do it if I want to. I'm not suggesting everybody else do this. Now I'm trimming this off nice and short. I'm going direct into here. Okay. Might need a little bit more solder on that pin while the flux is still flowing. Do that. Okay. I just tacked on the side of that pin there. I'm hoping the focus hasn't gone out of whack. That helps reduce the chances of short circuit. I'm going to double and triple check everything before I plug this in, and you notice I've removed the card while I'm doing this too, just in case. So yeah, this helps minimize the chance of voltage drop, and it means that I don't have to worry about all sorts of other adapters and connectors and whatnot. And I can take this 2-prong connector, which is out of the camera range here, and I can plug that straight in the power supply that I've already got, provided that I remember which is positive and negative. That one there, I need to refresh those. For some reason these old connectors that I'm using, they don't hold a permanent marker all that well. They're very resilient plastic, I think possibly a Teflon variant. Alright, that's done. Let's plug a few other things in. Time for a smoke test. I've got the card removed. I'm about to give it 12 volts. And yes, that is the positive input, and that is the negative, and I've double checked everything on the board. I'm reasonably confident that I've got it right. So this is where I blow up my Raspberry Pi. So let's hold this in here. Where are the lights on this one? Oh, surface mount LEDs are so small I can't tell where they are. I guess I will look for a light when I turn it on. Here goes nothing. Alright, we've got lights. Being diodes, that means they're probably the right polarity. So let's whack an SD card in. Crucially, nothing smoked, nothing got incredibly hot. Let's plug this in, and we should see some flicking of activity as it boots up. Yep, I'm seeing a bit of flashing activity there. Alright, so we've got power to it. Now we can go and plug it into the main console. Let's go out to the area where I keep my server, which is not really a server, but it's a file server. It works. Alright, so this is my server that's in need of a bit of work. It's had a bit of a rough life. So yeah, we've got a Wi-Fi hub in here, or Wi-Fi access point that's no longer used in here. We've got our Pi 3 at the top. Got our power supply down here, and a whole bunch of other stuff. We've got a network switch hiding away in here. I've got to neaten some of this stuff up and remove a lot of this extraneous stuff here as well. So we're just going to hit our master shutdown switch, and hiding away under here there are 2 drives which I'm going to remove and give to my offsider here to do some error checking on while I fix the rest of this. So the next job here is I have to lay on the floor, and we're going to disconnect some disused parts. So namely, this lead can go. This is the old USB supply, which I think is a smidgen underpowered. That can go. This is, oh yes, that's a little relay controller that we don't need. That was connected to the GPIO to run alarms and stuff. That's no longer needed. We'll disconnect all of that, and we can unthread you out of here. I'm going to cut these off clean. These are 12 volt supply lines. I'll use that for something else. And we've got a lot of GPIO leads here. that I probably don't need connected to anything anymore. You know what, I'll leave them on there because I might yet program up a reset button and a few other things like a backup button. I might reuse those. The buzzer, however, I'm going to reuse for another purpose. It can come out. The fan on there is a 12 volt fan. That again, I might hook back up to GPIO for cooling. I'll do some thinking about that later. It's a noisy little thing. So yeah, the rest of that can stay. This one here, what am I going to do? Well, that one of those is going to go off. Oh, that goes up to the, that heads off up to the wireless router I've got up the top there, or the wireless access point. So that I need to reroute anyway, so I can put this front panel on properly. So yeah, I'll get all this untangled and we'll be back. This is a matter of interest. Under here is an old Linksys router that I've reflashed with DDWRT firmware and put a massive heatsink on and overclocked it. But at the moment I've got a couple of other ones that work better than that, and I don't need that. That was acting as a network switch, but I needed gigabit, so we added this guy. Alright, let's keep going. Alright, we've got the power connections done. Now I would have just plugged in one of these nifty connectors, but there isn't enough room in the box for it. I never designed it with that much depth. So I do probably need to dust out the power supply in here, and I'll do that shortly. But we've got our power connected, and we've got two loose ends here which I'm going to tape up so that they don't float around and accidentally land on this circuit board down here. So alright, let's connect everything else up. So I've just gone to check the power supply and it is mega dusty. I think the fans even stopped moving. So I'm going to actually disconnect this whole thing, take it out and give it a dose with the air compressor. Yeah, I think I definitely need to clean the dust out of this. Now, while I'm out here, I'm going to check on a project I did not long ago. This is my soap project, which I haven't probably released yet. Making some soap out of bacon fat. The smell is getting better. It doesn't really smell like much of anything at the moment. It's a faint smell of bacon. Nothing like the vanilla I'd hoped it would, but anyway, that's going to be there for a few weeks. Alright, back to power supply. It's all clean. Let's take it back inside and reinstall it. Alright, now that the power supply is in, I'm going to make a slight change. I'm removing the old router. I might have a use for that at a later date, and I think I found out where some of the signal problems were coming from. Antenna was bent up. So I'm just going to leave a big bit of cavity here that helps with the airflow. And I might even turn this round backwards so that there's a little bit of airflow upwards as well from that fan. Gives me a lot more room to work in here, especially with those massive adapters like these things. So yeah, and it means less problem with cable management here. Alright, we've got some connections in, and I'm glad I made some extra room here because that stupid adapter, I really need a pigtail adapter in here. That's only just going to fit in all that space. The least they could have done is put the connections on the other end, but you know what, I'm not complaining because I couldn't have built one of these boards myself. We've got everything connected. Yeah, and I think I might clean the glass. I might do that. smoke test time. Turn UPS on, turn power supply on, and we've got our volts are looking good. And we'll turn the TV on up here, and we'll see if I got the right HDMI output. Alright, so maybe not the right output. Right, so nothing on both ports. I seem to recall there was a trick for this, so I'm going to go look that up. Okay, so I went back to this test bench. I know it was clearly working because I got a response out of SSH. So I plugged into 12 volts, I removed the board, plugged in my regulator, hooked up the board, plugged into HDMI 0, and run to the TV. Now, an interesting little fact of these is on the FAT32 partition of this, there is a file called a config.txt. In there, there's a bunch of options already in there just commented out for like boost HDMI signal, HDMI safe mode, and force hot plug mode. So let's just go up here, turn on, and we'll go to our TV, and we have test pattern. Okay, so let's go and plug this back into the TV. Now, I was just laying on the floor hooking terminals back up, and I spotted something down here. I'm not sure if you can see it, but I'm sure you can see the N64 connector that's floating loose. Well, just above that, somewhere about there, there's a HDMI lead that's unplugged. I bet that's my problem. Alright, so mystery HDMI was actually my spare one, and that's like a 6 meter or an 8 meter cable. Alright, so we are connected correctly. Let's see if we get any life out of this now. We'll see. I would expect about now, if anything. Or not. Alright, let me check my HDMI connections. Okay, well clearly the unit is pushing out a good HDMI signal, and I've boosted the level, but it's either a resolution or a format that my TV in the lounge room doesn't like. Yay. Alright, so at least now I can get hold of it via SSH, and I might screw with it from there and see what I can do. Alright, we have success, and we have a cursor and everything we need. The problem was the HDMI lead. This is a standard lead. This is a HDMI lead with Ethernet. There's a few more conductors in that one, and I think something wasn't making connection in the adapter. But I'm going to leave this go for now, and we'll be back. Alright, we've got the front and back on the box with a piece of aluminium tape as a temporary measure, but at least everything actually goes back in there now. And I've forgotten to turn the switch back on. Yay. Alright, we have screen. Now let's reach over to the keyboard off screen here. We can see if we can select an OS at startup. Okay, so it should be going to Librelec. Let's see if we can do that. I think I might need to change the HDMI settings too. It's a little bit high now, but as long as we get something working, I'll be happy. Oh, now we've got no signal now. Oh, no, we have signal. It's doing something. Ah, haha, okay, that's what we want to see. Alright. Let's just sit with this for a minute. And we actually have acrylic on the TV too. You can see a reflection in the background. Alright, this is what we want to see. This is the default OS. Now I need to get some file sharing happening. And I need to fix my SSH login as well. Alright, test run successful. My apprentice is going to be happy. And it's much quicker at loading files. Scroll down and go bang, almost instantly. This Pi 4's definitely got a lot more horsepower. Alright, let's get back to SSH. Alright, and we have everything working. I had to change a few passwords, had to muck around with a few things. I changed the IP to a fixed IP, which was actually possible to do with all the built-in menus. I didn't have to do it through SSH like last time. And there was a little tick box that said auto share external drives, and that was really handy. I could go straight to this from the network share and then just reassign my network shares again. So I can even go straight to a video folder and everything like this. It's all very quick. It's all very good. I can scroll over to the 8TB drive. I can muck around with all of that. Alright, so that's all working pretty bloody well. Alright, so there are a few anomalies with the video, and I think that's because I'm driving the HDMI signal way high. Let's go down to videos, see if we can play something in here. Where did we leave all the kids shows? Kids are on the 5, I think. Kids shows. Yeah, see, this is one of the anomalies I was talking about. It has a little HDMI reset every now and then. I think that's a cable problem. The OS is still there, it just takes a bit for it to come back again. So yeah, I'll have to find out what that's about. I think it could be just a loose connection. Let's try something like that. That's pretty much instant. I can't believe how instantly that's changing. Let's go 1, 2, 3, play. Pretty much straight away off the top. Well, I think my apprentice is going to be happy at least. She's about the only one that watches this TV. None of us sit down and watch it. Okay. It's having a bit of a glitch on that video. Ah, no, it's had a HDMI reset. Ah. Yep, I'm going to check my connections. It really doesn't like that video. Oh. Oh, no. Okay, I think it's a connection problem. I'm going to go wriggle some connectors. Okay, so I connected everything to a different connection. I better move to less than 30 seconds of this so I don't get a copyright strike. I moved the connection to HDMI 1, which apparently has some more compatibility features than the other two. There's, I think it's C, and a few other modes that it's capable of. It seems to have cured it, although the connector was half out. Let's see what else we've got here. Yep, this is playing a lot better.
Hi.
No, oh no, not this one, not this one. Please no, I've heard this a million times. Okay, crisis averted. Alright, so it's working relatively well. Let's see if the YouTube add-on plays the ball. There's been some authentication problems with these two. I've cloned this install from another one. Yeah, so it wants me to authenticate. Last time I checked, that wasn't possible. Or wasn't working quite right, so I think I'm going to have to try that. Give me a minute. Yeah, so the problem that's occurred with this is with Google's new security procedures, they won't actually allow access to this this app particularly anymore because it doesn't meet with their security requirements. So I'm stuck without YouTube on this, but I'll find a way to make it work one way or another. In fact, I'm pretty sure we can do it without signing in. We don't need to. I think we can just go straight through to Hamster Maze. I think we can. It's all good. My apprentice is currently obsessed with hamsters at the moment, even though in Australia that could be a challenge to get one. Yep. YouTube's going to play pretty damn quickly as well. So I'm pretty happy with that. I think we'll call it quits. That's my file server upgrade. Alright, so yeah, we'll see you all in the next video. I hope you found it fun.